Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, make sure to hit the subscribe button. My name is Mackenzie and I am a fashion merchandising student at Kent State University. I will be a sophomore this fall, and one of my most requested videos is to talk about fashion school, talk about Kent's fashion program, and what it is like being a fashion student. So that is what I'm doing today. I hope you guys find this helpful. I actually wasn't really sure which direction to take this video, so I went on Instagram and had you guys ask me all of your questions. I talk about my major, I talk about the projects and the schoolwork and all that jazz that I am doing in many videos. A lot of my college week in my life, I go really in depth. I even bring you guys into the classroom and show you what it's like. So if you want to get more of like a real feel for it, I would recommend checking out some of my other videos. But I figured today I would dedicate a whole video to kind of talking about my major, what Kent's program is like and all that jazz. For those of you who do not know, Kent is the #4 fashion school in the United States. The first few being Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, I believe, Parsons, and Fashion Institute of Technology, and all of those are trade schools, more of a 2-year university, typically more for designers. So Kent is the #1 school if you want to go to a 4-year university. That's like your typical college life. There are going to be students that are not fashion related. So there's business majors, there's sports, there's Greek life, there's everything on Kent's campus, so that it is like a normal university, but it is still the most well-respected and known fashion program. So Kent's fashion school has 2 main majors, fashion merchandising and fashion design. I am a fashion merchandising student, and obviously people know what design is, but a lot of people mistake merchandising for design. Design is basically actually creating the clothes. It's sketching the clothes, constructing them, bringing them to life, whereas merchandising is the opposite of that. So a lot of people get that kind of confused, and I'm going to read the actual definition of fashion merchandising off of the internet so that you guys can kind of get a feel for it. So fashion merchandising can be defined as the planning and promotion of sales by presenting a product to the right market at the proper time, by carrying out organized, skillful advertising, using attractive displays, etc. So merchandisers and designers work really closely together. The designer may have designed this yellow top, but it's the merchandiser's job to figure out where they can manufacture this top at the cheapest, most affordable, effective price that's still obviously a little bit sustainable, that's corresponding to those brands' practices. So they also are going to figure out how many tops they need in each size, extra small, small, medium, large. They are ordering those shirts, bringing them into the store, constructing displays, figuring out what needs to be closer to the front of the store, what needs to be on sale, and they do everything on the business side of fashion, basically. So they also do stuff in advertising, communications, public relations, journalism, magazines, all that jazz. So fashion merchandising is basically everything but the actual construction of clothes. So I am not an artsy person. I'm not a hands-on sewing kind of gal. So I am not in any sewing classes. I do not design clothes. I am basically on the opposite side of it. Fashion merchandising is super, super broad, so there is a lot you can do to it, and it's largely tied into business. So business is a great route to go in if you cannot go to a fashion school. Maybe you can't afford to go out of state or something. Business is a really great route to go as well. I also want to put out there that Kent offers merch and design. You can double major, but usually double majoring takes a little bit longer than 4 years. And you can also pick up one of those as a minor as well. So a lot of people minor in fashion merchandising if they're not 100% sure if they want to go into the fashion industry. But as a fashion student, you are required to pick a minor. A lot of people choose sustainability, business, advertising, public relations, journalism, and fashion media, which is what I am in. Fashion media is basically what I'm doing right now, my career now, blogging, YouTube, influencing, Instagram, all of that put together is basically what fashion media is. It is working for a magazine, a newspaper, creating social media content. It's media, but in a fashion sense. So that is what my minor is. A lot of people decide to go different routes depending on which specialization they want to go into. So it's something to think about. Also at Kent, it is mandatory to study abroad if you are a fashion student. So that can mean that you do up to 2 weeks in New York City. That's considered abroad. Or you can go for a whole year to Florence, Italy, if that's what you wanted. So it's up to you. They really do give you so many opportunities and resources at your fingertips. So I encourage you to take advantage of those. And with that being said, let's hop right into the first question. So the first person asked, if your school does not offer fashion merchandising, what is the best alternative? So like I just said, business is a great alternative if that's what you want to go into, is is the business side of fashion. You can also go into advertising, public relations, any of those minors that I just said. It depends. If your school offers a fashion merchandising minor, I encourage you to pick it up. But at the end of the day, you basically need to have good business skills, good communication skills in order to land a job within that industry. So there are plenty of people that work in the fashion industry without having a fashion major, but there are also schools that are accessible and affordable, like Kent. Like Kent, although it is so well respected, it is not crazy expensive compared to some other universities. Someone else asked, what class are you most excited for? And I am definitely looking forward to social media strategies, which I will be taking in the fall. As someone whose job is influencing and is on social media 24/7, I think that this class will be a lot of information that I already know, which is always helpful, and then B, new information that I can utilize right away, not just in 3 years when I finally get out of college. Going along with that, someone else asked, what class did you like best that you've taken already? So I actually haven't taken a ton of fashion classes yet. When you go to Kent, they will give you like a roadmap that tells you what classes you need to take for your major each semester, along with what cores you need to get out of the way. So I did come in with some college credit, but I definitely had to still take some core classes my freshman year. So I was in 3 fashion classes my first semester, and then this past semester I was in 2. And I will say my favorite was definitely fashion fundamentals. You take that your first semester as a fashion student, and it basically just opens your eyes to all different sides of the industry. I think it was a really informational class, and the Professor Copeland, she was awesome. She was really young, funny, and I just really enjoyed her class. There is a lot of basic information in that class, and yet I learned a lot from it. Someone else asked, when coming out of this program, what is your dream job? So I've talked about this a few times, but my goal is to work in the magazine industry when I'm out of this. So like Teen Vogue, Vogue, Cosmo, 17, something like that. I'm not 100% sure yet if I want to work in styling, social media, or like be an actual writer yet. When I went into college, I was like pretty certain that I wanted to write, but as I've been exposed to more sides of the industry, I kind of am leaning towards maybe trying something new out, and honestly just wherever would take me, or wherever there was a position to fill, I feel like that would be best. I obviously have a lot of experience through blogging and through YouTube and stuff like that, so I don't know, I feel like I could fit in wherever I was needed. Someone else asked how to best prepare and some steps you took to be the most ready for fashion school. So honestly, there's no like specific path to take. There are some people who have been sewing since they were 4 years old. There are some people who have never picked up a spool of thread until they walk into the fashion school. So everyone's kind of working at their own pace. Obviously, if you have some experience, it's going to make your life a little bit easier when you get to college, but it really is a learning experience for everyone, and everyone starts somewhere differently. So all 3 of my roommates last year were fashion merchandising majors as well. Some of them worked in retail. Working retail gets you like great basic experience, but in all honesty, I was kind of in a different situation in the sense that I was not working retail, but I was working for myself. So I was connecting with hundreds of different brands, various different brands at a much different level, not necessarily a higher level, but from a digital experience rather than an in-person experience that obviously prepares you differently. So do as much as you can. Start a blog if you're interested, get a job in retail, and just take a deep breath and know that, like I said, everyone starts from square one. Someone else asked, how did you do your fashion classes online with COVID? So because I am a merchandising major, it wasn't like I had any sewing to do or any like hands-on projects. The only fashion classes I was in last semester were fashion tech and fashion tech lab. So the lecture and the lab combo, and lab basically is teaching you how to use Photoshop, how to use the Adobe software, stuff like that. So it was already a computer-based class. So he just put on like lecture videos, and we would like copy the assignment on our own Photoshop, our own Excel, stuff like that. But I do know some of my friends who are design students, they had to hand sew everything if they didn't have a sewing machine, and create patterns, like get really creative, shoot their own pictures. So I know that it's different depending on if you're fashion merch or fashion design. I didn't think it was too bad, this switch. Someone else asked, what is your favorite class and what do you do in it? So like I said, fashion fundamentals was my favorite class, and it was just a lecture, but I also have taken fashion visuals and fashion tech, which are lecture lab combos. So one day a week you'll go to the actual lecture, you'll listen to the professor talk about what what you're going to be doing later that week in lab. And then you get to lab and you're working on various different projects, assignments, and creating stuff. Whether in visuals, it's going to be with like actual paper, magazines, collages, stuff like that. And in tech, it's going to be creating like PowerPoints, designing a collection, a line, creating a color wheel, stuff like that. Someone else asked, did you always know you wanted to be in the fashion industry / major in fashion? So yes and no. I used to say I wanted to be a teacher, and I was pretty convinced that the teacher route was for me. But my freshman year of high school, the reason why I started my blog was because I didn't know if I should pursue something in photography, writing, or fashion. And so my mom suggested I start my blog, and that way I could figure out what was right for me. And over the 4 years of high school, I realized that fashion in all those senses, so fashion media, was what I wanted to do, which is ultimately why I decided to go the fashion merchandising route. That way I could work in the fashion industry. So yes, I through high school always knew that that's what I wanted to do, but in my earlier life, in my middle school days, I always said that I wanted to be a teacher. Someone else asked, is it required to dress up for class? No, there are people that are gonna wear sweatshirts and sweatpants every day. There are people that are gonna wear the most out there funky things you've ever seen, like a paperclip top, safety pin pants, purple hair. There's some really crazy outfits, and then there's some really bummy. I would pretty much wear something like I have on right now, so just a tank top, earrings, jeans, sneakers, sandals, boots, whatever, depending on the weather. Obviously it's different. I am going to do a video of outfits that I would personally wear to class as a fashion major, but what you guys see me wearing in my vlogs and throughout my videos is pretty standard for what I wear to class. Weather permitted, I guess. So a lot of times at school it's obviously cold and snowing, so snow boots, jeans, a sweater, and a parka with a cute beanie, that's pretty typical. Someone said, do you get to design products and physically make items? So I do not, because I am not a design student. I could take a design class if I wanted to, but honestly I do not think I would do well in one. While I do want basic sewing skills, I'm not exactly sure if I would take that kind of class, because right now I don't have room in my schedule to take those kind of fun filler classes. But yes, you can take a design class if you are a merchandising student. Now if you are a design student, you're going to be making stuff in pretty much every class. I do know that one of my friends that is a design major, their final project for one of her classes was to create a baby outfit. So she had to make baby clothes, a top and bottoms, and a onesie, I think. So yes, you do make actual clothing garments in fashion visuals, which merchandising majors and design students take their freshman year. You will have to make a garment as your final project, so you can pair up with a design student in that class. My partners were my roommates Emma and Lauren, although she is a merchandising student, has basic sewing skills and had a sewing machine, so we had to flip a thrift find into a new outfit and upcycle it. So we turned a men's button down dress shirt into a two-piece set. Someone else asked, what kind of projects have you done? So that, what I just said, kind of goes along with that. We had to create and upcycle something from the thrift store. So we made the men's dress shirt into the two-piece set, and then we also turned a tie into a headband, which was really cool. And then for fashion tech, our final project was to design a clothing line. So you had to create 3 pieces digitally, and then you also had to create a color board for that and a mood board, and then you also had to do a trend report as well. I have examples of that project on my blog. Actually, I will leave it linked below if you guys want to check it out. And I also share all these projects that we do throughout my college week in my lives. In fashion tech, we have a lot of digital work, obviously, because it's a technology-based class, and you're basically designing lines, color stories, a lot of mood boards in both classes. In fashion visuals, you do a lot of mood boards as well. A lot of collaging. If you're going to be a fashion student, I really recommend bringing all your magazines with you to school. You're going to make huge collages. You're going to be picking stuff out based on point, scale, size, all these different things. So it's a lot of hands-on in visuals, and then in tech you are going to be obviously staring at your computer for a majority of the day. But I will leave examples of the stuff below. Someone else asked, can you please give some insight into the courses and the professors to take? So like I said, the only fashion classes I've taken are fashion fundamentals, fashion visuals, and fashion tech, and I've talked about all 3 of those throughout this video already. I do have 2 different blog posts, one from fall semester and one from spring semester, and in both of those blog posts I break down all the classes I took, my core classes included, so nutrition, art history, classes like that that aren't exactly fun but you have to knock out of the way. I have all of those listed in both of those blog posts. I'm sharing what grade I got, the professor I had, what time I had the class, what I thought of the class, and then I give the class like an overall rating. So if you are like trying to choose a professor or go through that process, I really recommend checking out both of those blog posts. Like I said, I will leave them both linked below for you guys to read. Someone else asked, what are the base classes you need to take and how much of a workload do you have? So like I mentioned, you are going to have a roadmap, which is going to tell you what you need to be in each semester in order to graduate on time. So like I said, first semester you're going to be in fashion fundamentals and you're going to be in either fashion tech or fashion visuals. I took visuals my first semester, and second semester I took tech. And you also need to take microeconomics, you need to take intro to statistics, which I'm taking right now over the summer, and I believe there's like a couple other like random like core based classes that check a bunch of other boxes as well. But when you finally sit down with your advisor, they're really going to help you out and show you those things. If you are going to be a senior in high school this year, I really recommend taking economics and statistics through your community college and check with Kent, see if those credits will transfer over, because you can knock those out of the way and be ahead of the game, I guess. So those are like your basic classes that you take your freshman year, and then depending on your sophomore year, you're going to take business management. Like I said, I'll be taking social media strategies, I'll be in fashion fabrics lab, and then I'll be taking economics, and I have to take a science course as well. That's my last core class. So it just depends on how many credits you came in with, what your minor is, stuff like that. But as far as workload, with fashion visuals, I spent probably 8 hours a week working on something for that class. The assignments took me forever, and it took me a lot longer to do fashion work than it did to do like my core class work, if that makes sense. With fashion tech, I would spend anywhere from like 15 to 25 hours on a project, depending on what it was. Some projects you can get done in like 3 hours, others will take you like 20 hours. Like my final project easily took me 25 hours, but that's because it's much more in depth, I guess. And I don't know, so it just depends on who you are, how much effort you're putting in, I guess. But I don't know, there's a little insight on me personally. Someone else asked, was Kent your dream school? So yes and no. Kent was actually the last college that I visited, and when I stepped onto the campus, I had really high hopes because they offered both fashion merch and journalism, and I had already visited all these other schools, and I was like, if I don't like this school, I'm screwed because I don't even know where else to look. And I ended up falling in love with it. Everything about the campus was what I wanted. I'm going to do a video all about the reasons why I chose Kent and like why I felt it was the best school for me. So that video is coming up. But yes, I guess in that sense, once I finished my tour, I was like, this is exactly where I want to go. If I get accepted and get the financial aid that I need, I will 100% go here. And I got accepted, I got the financial aid I needed, and now I go there. So yes, I love it there, and I can't imagine going anywhere any different. The last thing I want to touch on is stuff to bring if you are going to be a fashion major. So like I said, if you have magazines, bring them with you, bring all of them. Your mom is probably going to look at you kind of funny, and they take up space, but magazines are really expensive, and if you're taking visuals, you're going to need them. I would also recommend grabbing the Adobe Suite. You can get this before you go to school, but do not pay the full price for it. There is like a student discount you can get for it, and I think I have mine for 1 year. It's a 1-year subscription, but that is what gets you Photoshop, Lightroom, all these other programs. I can't even think of InDesign, these programs that you're going to use for fashion tech. And I also use them for some of my journalism classes as well. I needed to have it for a class called My Story on the Web, where we created a blog. I loved that class as well. You will be using those a lot, and if you can have a little extra time with them to play around, get creative on your own, I see why that's worthwhile. All right guys, that is going to be all for today's video. If you have any questions that I did not cover throughout this video, leave them below. I will get to them. I promise I see all your comments, and I will take the time to respond to them. You can also message me on Instagram at @StyleByMcKENZ if you guys want to chat in private. Hope you guys found this video helpful, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye guys.